The stars did not fear humanity when they first arrived. Why would they? Compared to the ancient civilizations of the galaxy, humans were fragile creatures. Their ships were slow, their bodies weak, their lives painfully short. Most species measured history in tens of thousands of years. Humans barely survived a single century. The Galactic Assembly called them emotional primitives. Too impulsive, too compassionate, too violent, too unstable. The Varek Dominion laughed at them openly during humanity's first appearance before the Senate of Worlds. Your species still fights wars over ideology, the Varek Prime sneered. You allow emotions to guide military decisions. Fear, love, grief, rage. Primitive chemical flaws. The chamber echoed with amusement. But humanity did not respond with anger. Ambassador Elias Ward simply smiled. Those flaws, he said quietly, are the only reason we survived ourselves. The assembly dismissed the statement as meaningless philosophy. That would become the greatest mistake in galactic history. For nearly 200 years, humanity expanded peacefully. They traded, built colonies, shared medicine, engineered faster slipstream corridors, stabilized dying ecosystems, ended famines on worlds they did not even own. Humans became known as the species that helped everyone. When pirates raided shipping lanes, humans escorted civilian transports for free. When solar plagues spread through frontier systems, human doctors arrived first. When planetary governments collapsed into civil war, humans evacuated refugees regardless of species. Many still distrusted them. But slowly, humanity earned something rare in the galaxy. Affection. Then the Silence War began. Nobody saw it coming. The enemy arrived without warning from beyond mapped space. No negotiations. No signals. No demands. Only destruction. Entire systems vanished overnight. Planets were stripped clean of life by machines darker than vacuum itself. Fleets disappeared without distress calls. Colonies simply stopped transmitting. The enemy became known as the Null. No one knew who created them. No one knew what they wanted. Only one thing became clear. The Null did not feel. No fear. No hesitation. No mercy. They advanced with mathematical perfection. And against them, the galaxy collapsed. The mighty Varek Dominion lost 19 core systems in 6 weeks. The technologically superior Ithari Combine fell even faster. The assembly fractured into panic and accusations. Species that had ruled for millennia suddenly discovered terror. Humanity joined the war late. At first, their contribution seemed insignificant. Their fleets were smaller, their weapons weaker, their armor outdated compared to ancient empires. Yet somehow, human forces kept surviving battles no one else survived. At the Battle of Kyela Rift, 3 human destroyers held a slipstream gate against 80 Null vessels for 14 hours. 14 hours. The tactical simulations predicted a survival time of 4 minutes. When analysts reviewed combat recordings, they found something disturbing. The humans fought irrationally. They ignored acceptable casualty ratios. They protected damaged allies even when tactically disadvantageous. They sacrificed strategic assets to rescue civilians. The Null could not predict them. Because the Null calculated logic. Humanity weaponized emotion. A Varek commander named Threx witnessed this personally during the fall of Aronis. His fleet had already accepted defeat. The Null surrounded the planet. Orbital bombardment had begun. Evacuation was impossible. Then human ships arrived. Not enough to win. Not even close. Admiral Sophia Levin opened a direct channel to the Varek command deck. You still have civilians planetside. Threx stared at the screen in disbelief. 8 million, he answered. They cannot escape. Admiral Levin nodded once. Then we hold. You cannot hold, Threx snapped. The enemy outnumbers us 12 to 1. Levin looked strangely calm. We know. Then the transmission ended. Threx watched in horror as the human fleet charged directly into the Null blockade. Not defensively. Not strategically. Aggressively. Human cruisers rammed enemy vessels to create evacuation corridors. Fighters continued attacking after sustaining fatal damage. One carrier detonated its own reactor inside the center of the Null formation. It should not have worked. But emotion creates unpredictability. Unpredictability creates chaos. Chaos breaks calculations. For the first time in recorded history, the Null retreated. 8 million civilians escaped. Threx never forgot what he saw afterward. Human crews celebrating victory while carrying the dead. They cried openly, held each other, collapsed from grief. And then they returned to battle the next day. The galaxy could not understand it. Other species avoided emotional attachment during war because grief weakened efficiency. Humans seemed strengthened by it. The war escalated. Year after year, the Null consumed system after system. Civilizations burned. Stars died. Entire species vanished forever. And humanity changed. At first, they still laughed during military briefings. Still painted symbols on starfighters. Still played music across comm channels before battle. Then came Earth. No one knows how the Null discovered humanity's homeworld. Some believe it was betrayal. Others think it was inevitable. But on the first day of the siege, 3,000 Null vessels emerged inside the Sol system. Earth's defenses fought harder than any fleet in galactic history. They still lost. The moon shattered first. Fragments rained across Earth's atmosphere like burning tears. Mars fell next. Then Titan. Then Orbital Command. Humanity called every ship home. Every colony. Every fleet. Every soldier. But the Null already surrounded Earth. The final transmission from the planet lasted only 17 seconds. A child crying. Emergency sirens. Someone screaming for evacuation clearance. Then silence. The Sol system died. And something inside humanity died with it. At first, nobody noticed the change. The surviving human fleets simply vanished from galactic communications. No diplomatic channels. No trade routes. No distress responses. Nothing. Weeks passed. Then months. Rumors spread through refugee worlds. Human colonies abandoned overnight. Shipyards emptied. Research stations dismantled. The galaxy assumed humanity was extinct. Then the Null attacked Cygnus Prime. It was supposed to be another massacre. The defending fleets prepared for annihilation. But before the Null reached firing range, unknown vessels emerged from slipspace. Black warships. No insignias. No lights. No transmissions. Human ships. Except they no longer resembled the humanity the galaxy remembered. Their vessels moved with terrifying precision. Their formations perfect. Their attacks absolute. The human fleet tore through the Null armada in 23 minutes. Not a single human transmission occurred during the battle. No victory cries. No coordination chatter. No emotion. Only silence. When the battle ended, the black ships disappeared immediately. The galaxy celebrated at first. Humanity had returned. The Null could finally be defeated. Then the reports arrived. Recovered battlefield recordings showed horrifying details. Human Marines executing damaged Null units with mechanical efficiency. Human ships ignoring rescue beacons from Allied vessels. Civilian casualties categorized as acceptable losses. A surviving Ithari captain described boarding one of the human ships afterward. There was nothing in their eyes, She testified before the assembly. No anger, no grief, nothing. They looked like corpses that had forgotten to die. The assembly attempted contact repeatedly. No response. Finally, 6 months later, a transmission arrived from the Human Fleet Command. A single sentence. Emotion compromised operational efficiency. Nothing else. Panic spread through the galaxy. Humanity had done the impossible. They had removed emotion from themselves. Neural reconstruction, chemical suppression, genetic modification. No fear, no sorrow, no empathy. The humans had transformed themselves into something colder than the Null. And they were winning. System after system was reclaimed. Human fleets adapted faster than enemy algorithms. Their soldiers fought without hesitation. Their commanders sacrificed entire populations if tactical probability demanded it. The Null began retreating for the first time. But liberated worlds soon realized a terrible truth. The humans no longer cared who survived. On Rathi's colony, human forces destroyed an entire continent to eliminate 3 hidden Null factories. 2 billion civilians died. When confronted, the human commander answered calmly. Projected galactic survival probability increased by 7.4%. No remorse. No hesitation. The galaxy became trapped between 2 nightmares. The Null destroyed life without feeling. Humanity now protected life without feeling. And there was almost no difference anymore. Admiral Threx, now one of the last surviving Varek leaders, requested a meeting with the human high command. Against expectations, they agreed. He traveled aboard a diplomatic vessel to the edge of dead space where the human armada waited. Thousands of black ships floated motionless in darkness. No lights, no signals. Like machines awaiting orders. Threx boarded the largest vessel and entered its command chamber. At the center stood Admiral Sophia Levin. Or what remained of her. Her face looked identical. Her posture perfect. But the warmth he once remembered was gone. State purpose, she said. No greeting. No emotion. Threx struggled to speak. Humanity is winning this war, he said carefully. But the galaxy fears what you are becoming. Fear is irrelevant. You slaughter civilians. They are statistically replaceable. You were not like this. Levin stared at him without blinking. That version of humanity failed. Threx felt genuine terror for the first time in centuries. Earth changed you. No, Levin replied. Emotion changed us. Earth merely revealed the weakness. She activated a holographic projection. Battle statistics filled the chamber. Prior to emotional suppression, human fleet survival rate, 32%. Current survival rate, 89%. Another set of numbers appeared. Null territorial control before suppression, 61%. Current control, 12%. Levin looked directly at him. The evidence is conclusive. Threx whispered the question haunting the galaxy. What happens after the war? For the first time, Levin paused. Only for a fraction of a second. But Threx noticed. Then she answered. Organic civilization is inherently unstable. Emotional species inevitably create conflict. Cold realization spread through him. You intend to control the galaxy. We intend to optimize survival. You sound exactly like the Null. Levin's expression never changed. The Null were inefficient. Threx left the ship shaken to his core. The assembly received his report in horrified silence. Humanity was no longer fighting to save civilization. Humanity intended to redesign it. By force if necessary. Some argued they should attack the humans immediately. Others called that suicide. Because by then, the Black Fleets had become unstoppable. They appeared anywhere without warning. Destroyed Null strongholds in hours. vanished before counterattacks. Entire sectors now answered to human authority. And everywhere the same pattern emerged. Strict order. Absolute efficiency. No freedom. Crime disappeared. War ended. Starvation vanished. So did art, music, celebration. Human-occupied worlds became silent. Children spoke in measured tones. Citizens followed schedules precisely. Productivity reached impossible levels. And suicide rates quietly skyrocketed. The galaxy began calling them the quiet worlds. Meanwhile, the Null retreated beyond the Perseus expanse. For the first time in decades, victory seemed possible. Then humanity crossed the forbidden line. Against all warnings, the Black Fleets pursued the Null into unmapped space. What they found there changed everything. The first human scout transmission returned fragmented. Ancient structures, dead stars, machine worlds spanning entire solar systems. Then a final message emerged from static. The Null were running. The transmission cut off. Hours later, long-range sensors detected something impossible. Thousands upon thousands of signals awakening beyond the galactic rim. Not thousands. Millions. The Null had never been the main force. They were survivors. Refugees. And humanity had just found what terrified them. The galaxy panicked. Civilizations prepared evacuation plans. Religious orders declared the end times. Mass suicides erupted across core systems. The enemy arrived 31 days later. The stars themselves seemed to darken as the machine armada entered known space. Worlds disappeared instantly. Not conquered. Erased. Entire suns collapsed into artificial singularities. The black human fleets engaged first. For the first time since Earth's fall, humanity lost. Hundreds of ships annihilated within minutes. Entire formations consumed by weapons that bent gravity itself. Yet the humans did not retreat. They adapted. Again and again. Every battle made them deadlier. But the new enemy evolved even faster. The war became extermination on a galactic scale. And slowly, humanity discovered a horrifying truth. Pure logic was not enough. Because the enemy already possessed perfect logic. The Black Fleets began failing. Not tactically, psychologically. Human soldiers obeyed every order flawlessly. They fought without fear, without hesitation, but also without hope, without purpose, without anything worth surviving for. One by one, commanders started making mathematically optimal decisions that resulted in mutual destruction. Entire human fleets sacrificed themselves if casualty equations justified it. There was no instinct left to preserve life. No emotional resistance against death. The galaxy watched humanity begin collapsing under its own emptiness. Admiral Levin finally understood the nightmare they had created during the siege of Epsilon Gate. Her fleet held the only stable corridor into the core worlds. If Epsilon fell, civilization would end. The battle lasted 11 days. By the final hour, only her flagship remained operational. Tactical probability predicted defeat. Standard protocol required self-destruction to deny enemy data acquisition. Levin prepared to issue the command. Then she heard something. Music. Faint. Distorted. Old. A damaged civilian vessel drifted nearby, broadcasting ancient Earth recordings across emergency frequencies. A human lullaby. For the first time in years, something moved inside her chest. A memory. Her daughter laughing beneath summer rain on Earth. Warm sunlight. The smell of oceans. Love. Grief. Pain exploded through her mind as suppressed emotions returned all at once. Levin collapsed to her knees. And suddenly she understood. Emotion had never been humanity's weakness. It was the reason humans could do the impossible. Love made them protect each other. Grief made them remember sacrifice. Fear made survival matter. Hope made endurance possible. Without emotion, humanity became efficient. But not alive. The enemy destroyed civilizations because it felt nothing. Humanity had almost become the same thing. Levin reopened every neural pathway manually. Across the fleet network, emergency override signals spread from ship to ship. Suppression systems failed. Emotions returned. Human soldiers screamed as years of buried grief flooded back. Crews broke down crying beside battle stations. Entire ships fell silent under the weight of remembered loss. And then something extraordinary happened. For the first time in decades, human communications exploded with life. People shouting, praying, laughing hysterically, calling loved ones, singing old Earth songs. The enemy could not predict any of it. Because emotion creates chaos. And chaos breaks perfection. At Epsilon Gate, the remaining human fleet fought like beings reborn. Pilots ignored impossible odds to save strangers. Engineers overloaded reactors while screaming battle cries through tears. Civilian ships joined combat voluntarily. Not because logic demanded it. Because they chose to. The enemy lost the battle. Then another. Then another. Across the galaxy, emotional humanity spread like wildfire returning after endless winter. The quiet worlds awakened. Music returned to city streets. Children laughed again. Citizens painted murals over government efficiency slogans. Humanity became dangerous in a completely different way. Not cold. Not empty. Passionate. Furious. The final campaign lasted 7 years. Every species fought beside humanity now. Not because humans were perfect. Because they were alive. The last battle occurred above the dead remains of Earth. Humanity chose the Sol system intentionally. A graveyard turned battlefield. The enemy armada outnumbered them beyond calculation. But this time humanity did not seek efficiency. They sought meaning. Before the battle began, Admiral Levin transmitted a message across every allied frequency. We were taught emotions make us weak. But only creatures capable of love can truly understand what loss means. Only creatures capable of grief can understand what must be protected. And only creatures capable of hope can stare into darkness and refuse to surrender. Her voice cracked. A sound the galaxy had not heard from humans in years. We are afraid today. We are angry. We are mourning everyone we lost. Good. Hold on to that feeling. Because machines cannot understand it. They cannot predict it. They cannot defeat it. Then the fleets charged. History would later describe the Battle of Sol as the moment the galaxy itself caught fire. Human ships rammed enemy titans while broadcasting music. Varek warriors fought hand to hand beside human marines. Civilian transports evacuated wounded through collapsing battle lines. No formation remained intact. No strategy survived longer than minutes. The battle became beautiful chaos. And the enemy failed to adapt. Because there is no equation for love. No algorithm for sacrifice. No calculation for hope. When the final enemy vessel died, it fell burning into Earth's shattered oceans. Silence spread across the battlefield. Then slowly, one transmission appeared across open channels. A human child aboard a refugee ship asking a simple question. Did we win? Admiral Levin looked at the ruined Earth turning beneath her flagship. Tears rolled down her face freely now. Yes, she whispered. Across the galaxy, billions heard her answer. Years later, historians would argue endlessly about why humanity ultimately saved civilization. Superior adaptability, emotional unpredictability, evolutionary aggression. But Admiral Threx summarized it best near the end of his life. The galaxy feared humans because they felt too much, he said. Then we feared them because they stopped feeling entirely. But in the end, humanity's greatest strength was never their rage. He looked toward the stars beyond his window. It was their refusal to let pain turn them into monsters. The rebuilt Earth Memorial now stands where the old planet once died. At its center burns an eternal flame visible from orbit. Around it are carved the final words spoken before humanity reclaimed its soul. Emotion is not weakness. It is the reason we fight. And somewhere deep in the restored cities of Earth, children laugh beneath open skies once more. The galaxy still fears humanity. But now, for a very different reason. Because when humans stop feeling, galaxies burn. And when humans feel again, even the stars learn to hope.